There we go. Okay. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. Let's get this live built up before Rob comes in, before I bring him in. Come on in, everybody. Share the video, like the video, invite your friends. Share the video, like the video, invite your friends. Facebook, if you guys don't mind, share it over on y'all's, Facebook and send it to your friends. And I'll do the same. So y'all know I love a good story time. And so tonight, Rob's going to come on and share his story with us. He's a super cool guy. He just started TikTok recently. And so he's been in the recovery community for years, though. And y'all will love him. He's a really good guy. I met him back whenever I had to do a speaking engagement at the Mara meeting. And somebody had asked me to go on for him or to share at his detox. And so that's how we met. But he's a really cool guy. So y'all come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Everybody come on in. It's going to be a great time. Hey, Rob. So, Rob, what you're going to do is over on your account, you will go live. You know how to go live on your account, right? You press the little plus button, slide over to live, and go live. Then what I will do is I will send you a co-host invite, and it'll pop up in the bottom left corner of your screen. Okay, to go live, you'll sign on to your account, and you'll go to your account like you're about to make a video. You press the plus sign, and it'll say, camera, story, and then live. Slide over to live and just press go live. Then what I will do is send you an invite to join on the screen with me. That way you're not just in a little box down here. That way you're like, side by side with me. Comprende? I think you can handle that. And while you're handling that, I'm going to get this live built up. So y'all do me a solid. And like I said, share this video, like this video, invite your friends. Thank you. I'll see you in just a second, okay? Share this video, like this video, invite your friends. Let's get everybody in here so that way we can make Rob super nervous. No, I'm just playing. Y'all know it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And so what I like to do is I like to have people on to share their stories and talk about their experiences. And then you guys, hopefully it'll inspire you guys that are struggling. If you're still struggling in your active addiction, if you're not struggling in active addiction and you're in recovery, it'll inspire you to keep staying sober and stay on the right path. It's just fun. Okay. What's up, Delaney? Okay, here we go. Let's get Rob on here. Good job. You did it.
I did it. Can you hear me?
I hear you great. I'm so excited to hear your story because I don't think I've ever heard it before.
No, I just had you speak in the treatment center on Zoom.
Okay. So, Rob, I was just telling everybody like a little bit about you and how we met. What I like to do when you come on, I totally give you the floor. I just like for you to share what it was like when you were a kid growing up, like if your parents were divorced, if there was any domestic violence, anything like that, if you, and then after you go from that point, like transition us into what it was like when you first started using, why you first started using, how bad it got, and then share with us how your life is like now. And if I have any questions, like I just kind of try to wait for you to pause during the story and I'll ask, or I'll just butt in and ask you. But you got the floor, man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of wild how.
Hold on. I can't hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes. Now I can.
Yeah. My phone never stops. Yeah, so it's funny. This is my first time going live on TikTok. It's weird. New platform for me. Started 60 days ago. You know what I mean? So
you're going to love it.
On here, though. Huh?
You're going to love it. TikTok is like a really wild platform because you can literally grow like so quickly. And while you're talking to me, you're going to see people come into your live over there. And so they can see both of us. And that way, like they see you, they see me, and they can follow you, they can follow me. I really, really like it a lot. But anyway, I'll let you go ahead and I'm just going to listen. And if I have any questions, I'll ask you. Okay.
All right, yeah, great. So I'm Rob, grateful recovering addict. I grew up in Somerville, Mass, right outside of Boston, literally next town over to Boston. Came up from a single family household. I had a severely bipolar mother doing the best that she could to give me the best type of life that she possibly could with all her means. Right. I come from an alcoholic, abusive father who used to beat the bag out of my mother and myself on a pretty constant basis. At some point, my mother got away from my father and kind of did things on her own, right? And she was like my best friend growing up, complete mama's boy. She was like my everything. Um, we lived in a 3-family house, right? She rented the second floor apartment. I had this really creepy landlord who used to like to touch me in my pants when I was a kid. He used to tell me, "Don't tell your mother you're gonna be homeless and not go anywhere." So I kept my mouth shut, right? Man of the house, 5, 6 years old, just kind of kept my mouth shut, and it kind of went on for a long time. Which point, I started gravitating towards an older crowd because I didn't feel like I fit in with the kids that were my age, right? And these kids that were, older than me were doing things that a kid my age never should have been doing, right? So like they were drinking, smoking pot, doing coke, taking E. And as soon as I took that first one of anything, that first one took me, right? It didn't make me feel the way I was feeling inside. Took all that internal pain away. I could relate to anybody and everybody. And I was at the age of like 10, 11, 12 years old, right? And I took that and I ran with it for a lot of years. It was a recreational thing at first. It was right at the end of the OxyContin era. Opiates started to get introduced, but I never really got the bite when I was like, in my teens, right? It was more ecstasy, cocaine, weed, drinking. And that went on for a while until I was 16 years old and got some older chick pregnant, right? Had my first kid when I was 17. Told me if you wanted to be a father, you got to stop doing this recreational shit. At that point, I had no idea what addiction was. I had no idea what the words meant. Had no idea what an addict was. I just know I was having a good time with my friends. It didn't make me feel the way I wanted to feel inside, and I just took it and ran with it. But I stopped doing all that. But those self-seeking, egotistical, and self-centered behaviors kind of followed me through this relationship. Turned 18, got a real job, did the best I could, but that all kind of came to a halt because of this, my kid's mother's mental illness, right? So it's somewhere in 2010, I was hit by a drunk driver in Massachusetts, driving to my mother's house for like a dinner. I had my hand out the window, smoking a cigarette. The truck flipped 3 lanes, went 3 lanes across the highway. That car accident left hand, right? But the that the doctor was right and kind of took my life. What happened was my hand was degloved. I went through numerous surgeries, reconstructive surgeries to stop amputation. My hand was attached to myself, whatever the case may be. Surgery took weeks and weeks and weeks, but massive amounts of oxycodone, Valium, all kinds of shit. This went on for a while. This was back in Massachusetts before there was, really any treatment options or any help for addicts. Addicts, there's still a very, very thick stigma towards addiction and people that struggled. You didn't talk about it. I'll never forget the day I was in a tattoo parlor. I was getting a piece of my chest done and I couldn't sit through the outline, which obviously that's not like me to not sit for a tattoo. And the girl I was seeing at the time, she looked at me and asked me if I took my pills. And I didn't understand what that had to do with anything. I couldn't get it. And I said, "Nah, I haven't taken my pills in a couple of days." She says, "You're dope sick." It's the first time anybody told me what dope sick was or brought it to my attention how I'd feel if I didn't have that opiate in my system. At some point, with all these surgeries and, physical therapy, it got to the point where the doctor was just done. He was like, "I can't give you any more. We're going to taper you off." I said, "What the fuck is a taper?" And, I tried to do what they told me to do, but at some point the doctor was like, "That's it, bro. We're done. No more scripts." And then instantly it was IV heroin use. It wasn't long. It was probably a day or two after that last prescription was gone. From there, I was hooked, went on. My disease of addiction brought me to the darkest edges of the city of Boston, doing things to get the next one that nobody should be doing. Brought me battered, beaten, and broken, homeless, jobless, homicidal, suicidal, it didn't fucking matter. I was battered, beaten, and broken. I crawled into the doors of treatment every single time. State-funded treatment in Massachusetts, right? Went to the nastiest detoxes, the grossest places, caught some serious charges, in and out of treatment for years. I was that kid in treatment. Send it, kick it in, run with a girl, leave with a girl. It
What
was
did you
always the same thing.
What did you catch charges for? Tell me about that.
All sorts of shit. It all kind of came to a head when I decided to get clean. I was on the run for 2 years from probation, bunch of possession charges. There was some firearms issues prior to me getting high. All kinds of stuff that was going on. I don't, you know what I mean? Not
Did
a
you go
jail
to
kid.
prison for it?
Nah, I'm not a jail kid like that.
Oh, good. Okay,
No,
good.
it all kind of came to a head. It was my coming to Jesus moment that I had when I started to get clean. But nonetheless, I was a treatment kid. I was a treatment all-star. I've been to all the detoxes in Massachusetts, numerous admissions. I was the kid that knew the staff. I was that client that, everybody really, really loved, the annoying little brother that was in treatment. It was my thing, treatment, right? But like, just like anything, this is a disease of progression, right? And like my disease progressed, and what would happen was the run started getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and they started ending the same way: overdoses and handcuffs, right? Stupid, silly shit, right? Here I
Yeah.
am, I take a mouthful of benzos, right? Wake up in a jail cell, think I fucking killed somebody, only to find out at the arraignment that I stole a fucking fuzzy monkey from Walgreens.
Yeah, like
Shit like
what the
that.
fuck was I thinking?
And it was like growing up in like Boston, my drug of choice, kind of always to this day is angel dust. That was kind of the one thing that kind of always got me and played a pretty impactful part of like me attempting to get clean. So basically what had happened was battered, beaten, and broken. Couldn't stay on the street more than 3 days before another pair of handcuffs went on me or another vial of Narcan went up my nose. Crawled to my last detox, battered, beaten, and fucking broken. I crawled, literally. Sat in that detox, and I told them that I was done. I got on my hands and knees in room 8 of that detox and prayed for everything that I have in my life today. I was offered the chance to go to further treatment, so I had taken it. There's so much into my story that just doesn't matter talking about because it all comes out like war stories and shit like that. I got high like the rest of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Didn't make a difference. I ran around sticking needles on my neck. I ran around ripping, running, stealing, robbing. It just doesn't even serve me any justice talking about it because I'm so far removed from it. I talk about it in my content, but
I know you have to do that on TikTok though. And I don't think people understand that. Like it's totally different than like I think that's how a lot of people on TikTok relate to each other because it's kind of like a musically, it's kind of like a lip syncing music dancing app or I like to tell stories, but I was so against sharing those stories when I first started on TikTok. I seen other people doing it. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then the more I stayed on here, the more I just got comfortable with sharing, So it's kind of different on here.
I've been doing this out here in Massachusetts a long time, speaking up, using my voice, telling my story, breaking the stigma. You know what I mean? It's to the point now where it's just it is what it is. It is who I am. And I see the comments, you're more than your disease of addiction. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But like, at the end of the day, this is, what I do for a living. This is what I do, for my children, right? Like, this is what I do in general is I speak up for people who are suffering in silence, people who too are scared to ask for help. Like, that was me, right? Like, those 3 words saved my fucking life. Like, I need help, right?
Yeah.
And there were people then at least that were too scared to do that. And there were people that had come before me who opened their mouth and raised their hand and talked about it and changed some things out here for me to get the help that I needed and for me to feel safe enough to talk openly about the shit that I was going through, right? I just talked on TikTok about a neighbor touching me in my pants. Like, I have no shame. Like, I'm okay with talking about it because me talking about it, somebody's going to relate to it. Oh, if he can do it, I can. Right? Someone's going to talk. We're only as sick as our secrets, right? So if someone's talking about the shit that they're going through, chances are they're going to get the help that they fucking need, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. So this is what I've been doing for a while now. And it's like, I went through those doors of treatment, prayed for everything I had today, and they offered me further treatment, and I took it, right? So I went into a halfway house. A halfway house in Massachusetts is different than the term halfway house across the country. Massachusetts, a halfway house is a state-funded, 6-month therapeutic residential community for the most part. That's the one that I ended up going into. And it was right in Roxbury in the hood of Massachusetts. I was the only white kid in this halfway house for a long time. Listen, right, that same detox that I detoxed in 15 times, the case managers that worked with me while I was in that halfway house going to group, like I had to relearn everything my brain was taught in acts of addiction, right? I had to learn how to wash my ass again, brush my goofers, like all that shit that normal people were doing. I was homeless, living on the streets of Mass Ave. I wasn't doing it at that time. I had to relearn how to do all that, how to get up on time. They taught me how to build a resume. They taught me all kinds of these cool things that like I had never really was doing because I was too busy getting the next one. And things started coming together. I got a get well job, right? I was like on the Boston Harbor cruises, as a deckhand, like $8 an hour in a halfway house, just hanging out. It was great. Like I couldn't ask for anything more, right? And at some point, graduation time came. Like I ain't never graduated nothing in my life, right? And like here I am graduating this fucking halfway house. My mother, my best friend, right, that single mom who did the best that she could, she framed that graduation from the halfway house. She put that fucking thing on our wall. It was like my diploma. And it was just like I did it. And as soon as I graduated that halfway house, I moved into a sober house, right? It was cool, right? Great community living. 6 months had already passed. I'm about to do another 6 months of community living with other dudes. It's great to live around other dudes. Wonderful. You know what I mean? That same detox, though, as soon as I graduated, offered me a job as a recovery specialist in that detox. And basically what my position there was that detox was trying to go for a transformation, and they wanted somebody to give strength, inspiration, and hope to kind of keep people in their bed just a little bit longer because the turnaround rate was so high that we wanted to have more success in that particular detox to kind of present to get more grant funding, stuff like that. So me and a few other people, we were hired to do that. And it was successful for a while. At some point I was, promoted to case manager, aftercare coordinator, and did that for a while, right? And I'm living in this sober house and I'm paying this woman $150 a week. And I wasn't happy with, what was going on in the sober houses. So, the good addict I am, I used my resources, put my head down, and I decided I was going to open my own male sober living home. So I did. I opened my first male sober living home up in Lynn, Massachusetts. It was great.
Wow.
Opened it up. We stayed full. Ended up opening a second one. Great. Stayed full. It was fantastic. It was wonderful. Life was good. Working in the detox, walking around, doing the events, just kind of being a voice for people who are struggling and suffering. Like things were good, right? 18 months had gone by. I was involved with some sort of weird little viral Facebook thing that, it went viral. It went from, one trending photo to 90,000 people trending on Facebook. Ego and pride got the best of me. As soon as I opened the house, a good friend of mine decided to bring some drugs home, my business partner. We relapsed together. He had to go to treatment. I had to make the choice, am I going to use again or am I not? I chose to live, right? I chose not to use. My clean date is December 28th of 2016, right? So that's 5 years and some change. From that day forward, people, places, and things, I had to figure out who I was associating with and, how they move, and just kind of have that, like, really, again, another learning thing, right? Learn kind of the ins and outs again of what recovery was, just on a different level. And I did that, and I was able to be successful at it, obviously, if I'm here today talking about it. But business was good. I was helping people in the detox.
You're reading the comments, aren't you?
No, I'm reading text. My phone never. So, so business was good. Things are happening. One of the biggest blessings, like I got recovered some cool shit in recovery, right? But some of the things recovered in recovery, like, being clean is like I recovered that relationship with my mom, right? Like I put that woman through so much goddamn fucking turmoil and trouble and hell. Took, nights away from her. Like she just was stressing out. That was my best friend, my biggest cheerleader. She was so happy to have her baby boy clean, right? She was my biggest cheerleader. At this point, because of my disease of addiction, she had moved down to Florida. She was great, but she had some mental health issues. And one of her mental health issues was, just like being with an abusive man like my father, she had an abusive boyfriend. Somewhere in 2016, I want to say, I got to fly down and see my mother. spend a week with her. It was the first time she got to see her baby boy clean, not strung out, not, doing weird shit for more drugs, not begging her for money, Western Unions, the whole nine.
Yeah.
We had a great week. Right? My first time I ever, it was pretty much one of the first times I ever got out of Massachusetts and went to Florida, and just overall a good time. Her boyfriend was there. We didn't get along, whatsoever. It was cool. Went back to Massachusetts and kind of did my thing, stay clean. 2.5 years into recovery. On April 13th of 2018, my uncle decided to call me and tell me that my mother was dead. And that's hard enough as a recovering addict, right? We talk about reservations. We talk about doing, work on ourselves, shit like that. I don't get too into my fellowship and what worked for me, because there's so many pathways today that I believe in. Like, what works for me would have somebody else high before they leave the fucking parking lot, vice versa. So every way works. You know what I mean? It depends on what you're doing for yourself. So we talk about reservations and doing a little bit of that internal work, right? And I had done enough to be able to handle losing a parent in recovery. But what I did not expect to happen after that was for them to tell me that my mother's boyfriend killed her. He took a barbell, bashed her head in, left her under a blanket, and was arrested around the corner at the local bar with my mother's brain matter and her blood on his hands, right? I was fucked up, right? I'm a fucking drug addict. I don't know how to take all those feelings, right? We get clean. Good news is back. Bad news is we get our feelings back. And now I'm being hit with all these fucking kind of crazy ass feelings. I did the only thing I knew how to do, right? I raised my hand and I talked about it, right? I started to talk about what I was going through. I started to reach out to a very, very, because this recovery advocate thing, I've made connections across the country with a lot of amazing people doing some amazing things. And, I had literally a country of, recovering addicts and advocates and treatment industry professionals reaching out to me to make sure that I was okay. And it was just a phenomenal thing to see this recovery community that I have kind of, invested myself in really show up for me on so many different levels. That point, there was a GoFundMe. The recovery community basically buried my mother for me. It was fucking phenomenally amazing, and I'm super grateful. But had to go through a Capital One murder trial. Facebook was always my platform to kind of do what I do out here. And I went out to Florida for the first case management hearing against her boyfriend, sat in the chair that my mother was killed in, and I did a Facebook Live video. That Facebook Live video circulated so much that it got in front of 4 women in that man's hometown who had suffered the same type of abuse my mother had been suffering with. Those 4 women came forward, and those 4 women are literally the reason, their testimony is the reason we got a Capital One grand jury murder indictment to kind of go forward with the trial. And capital murder is a little different in Florida, and I'm so grateful for those women. I'm so grateful that they abuse and that evilness, and they were there to show up for my mother, even though my mother's not here. If it wasn't for those women, he wouldn't be sitting in a cell for the rest of his life. So we went forward with the murder trial, and I started to doing what I do for a living. There's a lot that went on, right? I jumped on with a detox team. I left that detox and jumped in with a more corporate detox, took a corporate position with an amazing, healthcare provider. We have 27 treatment centers across the country, right? And to be on that level and to have that support from a healthcare provider and, the recovery community, and to be where I was in life, I was able to really focus on, bridging the gap between substance use disorder and domestic violence, right? So I started getting involved. I got involved with an amazing organization called Love Life Now Foundation, right? They're fantastically amazing. They threw a heal-a-thon right after my mother was killed. They changed the name of, who they were doing it for my mother. It's basically men put on high heels, walk half a mile, or actually walk a full mile in high heels, to stand up against, abuse for women, right? So I got to get involved in that, start speaking. But in this time, I started learning some things. Started learning what DV really was, what was actually happening. And I started to really learn that my mother and I were so similar, it's not even funny. I sat for 5 years in silence, too afraid to ask for help, just like my mother did, right? Too afraid to break her silence. So at that point, this man had already taken my mother. I refused to allow him to take my clean date. And I refused to, not be my mother's voice. So I've spent the last, 4 years now advocating against domestic violence, bridging that gap between substance use disorder and DV, and just kind of really helping whoever I can as it happens. At some point, like when I first got clean, I had an amazing, beautiful little girl, right? She's never seen her father use. So I get to be a dad today, like show up and be available. Like
Yeah.
that's huge. Like I got all these cool things. Yeah, I got like really other cool stuff. Like, but like really, the recovery piece is a process of evolution, right? What I wanted when I was 30 days clean wasn't what I wanted in a year clean, right? And then I went through some things and had some trauma, some tribulations, and what I wanted a year clean wasn't the same thing that I wanted when I was 3 years clean. And like at some point, my fucking priorities set on time, right? And like today, I get to be that dad, the dad that I never had, right? I get to, instill, self-esteem, self-worth into a beautiful 5-year-old little girl, right? Like that's gonna be my legacy today. Like I'm not gonna allow her to settle for a man that killed my mother. I'm not gonna let her settle for a man who stuck a needle in his neck like her father. You know what I mean? Like my daughter's gonna have high standards, and that's really what my focus is on and where my recovery is at right now. But, like it's been a wild ride the past few years, like wild ride.
You are a
So
miracle, dude. Like I've never heard especially the beginning of your story, knowing that you were going through that as a little boy. Like that just makes me think of my little boy, and I can't even imagine how that must have felt to not feel like you could talk about that or ask for help, and then having your mom get killed, like that's just so heavy, dude. Like so many people would have went out and got fucked up, you know what I mean? And just thrown away all their recovery and went back down through there and probably would have never came back out of it. But you turned it around and was able to pull it out,
So there was like a point in time, right, being battered, beaten, broken, homeless on the streets in Boston under the Tobin Bridge with a needle in my neck, right? I remember I grew up Irish Catholic, right? Sit stands, you know what I mean? Religion was fucked up for me. There was a lot going on with the priests out here in Mass. I was told if I, I'm going to go blind. All kinds of punishing shit's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Really? Damn.
So for me, right, like the Catholic religion that I was brought up on, it wasn't there for me when I was battered, beaten, broken under a bridge. And I remember like sitting there, like on that last shot of dope, just asking God, why me, right? And then I go through the motions, right? And I like it's like it's like my higher power's job to deal the fucking cards. It's like my job just to sit at the table, right? And like I sat at that table and I didn't fold. And today, like I know why, right? Like today I know why I had to go through. Like I know why my mother was killed today, right? Like I know why she was killed because of like the positive. Like I could tell you stories for days of some of the stuff that this tragedy has helped other women get out of these situations. And like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. I've never experienced anything like it before, right? To have like a purpose today.
Yep.
I've never you know I've never seen blessings come to me in the ways that they come to me now, right? Like you know, just some amazing shit has happened simply because of, the work that, we all put into this recovery piece. And it's just an amazing process. Like to see somebody come in, or put somebody in treatment for them. So I'll share this story real quick, right? And this is
Yeah.
kind of what I mean. I got a client and you know what I mean? Great. Like, listen, out of all the people that I've helped get, like all the people I've put in treatment, like I've only gotten one person clean and that's myself.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know what I mean? We save our own lives, right? But this particular kid, he went into treatment, and you know what? He disappeared. He disappeared for months. Every month, the mom, like I'm an interventionist and a recovery coach and all that stuff, but like the mom would call me every month asking if I heard from her son, and I'd have to tell her no. And my advice was to go to the local police department and file a missing persons report. So you know what? I wouldn't hear from her for another month. Whether she did or she didn't, I don't know. Right? I can only assume that she did. This had happened 4, 5, 6 months. And then literally a week and a half ago, my phone rings. It's the mom. And I automatically, she caught me at the wrong time. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't heard from him. And she's like, no, he showed up at my front door. And I wanted to tell you he wanted your number. And I said, oh, okay. And then proceeded to tell me that he wasn't missing. he went and joined the Marines and started sending me pictures of him in like a Marine Corps outfit. And it just blew my mind
Wow.
because like, it's like you get to see shit like that. And those aren't the phone calls that I get often. Usually it's, so-and-so's dead. So-and-so didn't make it back. You know what I mean? Or I'll be working with somebody on a coaching aspect or a treatment aspect or an intervention aspect, and like we're right there, but that last shot is the one that killed them the night before they were scheduled to come into treatment. So there's a lot of darkness that comes along, but like
A lot.
really, some of these stories are absolutely amazing, right? Like watching DCF rip a family apart, and then watching that underdog addict come in and get their fucking family back. Like I see it all the time, and it's, you know what I mean? It's beautiful, and like that's the shit that keeps me going, right? Like that's the stuff that, like, same thing with this DV shit in my mom's story. Like I can't tell you how many women of, it's just amazing, dude. I don't even know how to talk about it. Like it's fucking wild. So
I know what you
I mean,
mean. I know what you mean, though. Like, domestic violence is part of my story and a part of a bunch of my friends' stories. And being able to hear people getting away from the person that was, hurting and harming them, and getting strength through your mom's story. That's why your mom was taken from us, because this right here, because you're sharing her story. It's helping all these women all over the world be able to get the strength to come out of their DV relationships. Man, that's the hardest thing in the world to do, is get away from a man that's beating you, because it's like they brainwash you to a point where you believe that you deserve it. And that's how I was. I believed I deserved it. I believed that, like, if I did leave, then I somehow he was going to get better, and then I would be like mad that I wasn't with him. It was just a whole crazy mind fuck thing. You know, I can't believe that she stayed sober through that. I can't believe it. Honestly, it's a miracle.
I mean, it was the hottest but simplest thing I ever had to do in my life. It was just, when they talk about don't get high no matter what, I used to sit there fucking high. Like, what the fuck you mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because, like, when this all happened, like, there was just that victim mindset I refused to have. It was like, my mother's not going to be a victim. She's going to be a weapon of God. Right. And like, that's kind of the mentality I had. And it's kind of what we went with and ran with it. I mean, my mother was all I had. Right. I was an only child, single mom. Like that's all I had. Right. Heroin addict to the family, black sheep, nobody around type shit. So it kind of was just like what it was, dude. You know what I mean? So there's so much in my story that I left out only because, you know what I mean, it's TikTok, and like,
Yeah.
it's still, even with the pandemic, I'm still not used to the whole sharing my story, not in front of a bunch of people. But it's great what we get to do now. Like I mean, I literally get the opportunity to help people all over the country, right? And that's kind of why I started this TikTok thing, cast a wider nets of people that needed help. I'm not hard to find, and my fucking government is my TikTok name. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
When I saw your name for the first time, I just couldn't believe it, because I live, down here in Arkansas, being a Demeo. There's no Demeos here in Arkansas. And so when I saw your last name, I was like, holy shit, dude. I wonder if we're related or something. But it's crazy that, you're able to work as a professional helping people. And 5 years ago, 6 years ago, you were sticking a needle in your neck and, high on heroin. I feel like it's just the greatest gift in the world to be able to have purpose and be able to help other people just by sharing your story. That's all you got to do. And that's what we're doing here on TikTok. Is you think it doesn't matter, but just by sharing about, the little text on the screen that says, I used to do this, or I used to do that, or I'm sober this long, it changes people's lives, dude. And people reach out. This is a massive, this community and this social media app it's going to take over every app. Facebook, see ya. Instagram, see ya. And everybody's going to be here. So you got in, like, to reach people right at the right time. Tell me, okay, I don't know if you can talk about, like, where you work. I don't know if you're the owner of the place, like, because I misspeak and I don't want to say the wrong thing.
No, I'm just another bozo on the bus. You know what I mean?
Okay. So, and it's a detox, right? Or is it a treatment center?
We have a detox. Well, we have 9 detox in 5 states. We have residential programs in 3 other states. We have intensive outpatient programs all over a few other states. I mean, it doesn't matter where I work. It's just I'm here to help. You know what I mean?
So,
That's really on.
but you're a resource. So like if you guys know anybody that's struggling, or you feel like you can't reach out to somebody, like you can reach out to Rob, and he has like resources all over, like I feel like you have a lot more reach and resources than I have, you know what I'm saying? Like I just started coming on to the scene, and you have a wider cast net to help other people. That's why I reached out to you today about that girl, because I was like, I don't know, I don't have a lot of resources in the Northeast, so I just think it's amazing that you're able to help people, and I love you. I love you so much. I love your personality. I'm so glad you came onto TikTok. Like when I saw your mom's story on Facebook after we had met that first time, I just really, man, it really drew me in, and you're a miracle, and your mom is going to be so happy. I know she's looking down on you from heaven, just proud of you and how far you've come.
I mean, that's kind of the hit, right? I mean, I think it's wild too that like I don't know how TikTok works, to be honest. I don't know what the hell I'm doing on here, dude. I just, you know what I mean, put some wild ass shit out there, and then just I don't could give two fucks. Like, you know what I mean? Like they account, so what? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, I saw you popped up on my FYP page, and losing Kaylee. Hi. Oh, I'm getting lost in the comments. You want to talk about, never mind, where was I? That
Something about the FYP page.
Yeah, you popped up on my FYP page, and what's it called? I'm like, I know her face, and it took me a minute, and I looked at your name, and I was like, oh my god, it's the chick from Nebraska that came in via Zoom to talk to my clients.
From Arkansas, Nebraska,
I'm like,
Arkansas. But yeah, that's me. I knew you by the last name. Like the minute I saw it, I mean, I know your face. I don't forget a face. I don't forget a name. You could be somebody in here with you could be called like Joe Blow on your screen name, and I know your face. And if you tell me your name's Michelle, like I will remember it for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? But you like TikTok? Are you having a good time posting your crazy stories on here and just like seeing what happens, just throwing them at the TikTok to see if they stay?
throw shit against the wall, something's gonna stick, right?
Yep. I really wanted your video about your mom to catch like traction. I feel like since TikTok, they changed the algorithm a lot on here. So it's like I'm trying to do research on what to do to, get back onto it. But anyways, that doesn't matter. I'm just so grateful that you came on, man. You got a strong story. You can share your story like in one show. Like that's how I am. I like to come on here. I like to tell where I've come from, what I was about, how I got sober, and what my life is like now. And I think it changes people's life just to hear how strong you are in all the turmoil, all the tragedy that you went through. And now look at you. You're fucking living your best life, man, on top of the world in a nice house, fucking with you get to see your kid now. Like it's just a miracle. We have so much to share and can help so many people.
We do the right thing, the right things happen. But I'm just looking at my comments, and I just got to touch, in my opinion, too, with everything that went on with my mother, there's nobody stronger than the mother of an addict, right? And like for me, that's huge. Like over like the course of all these years of what I've been doing, what I'm doing, like I've worked with a lot of parents, right? And like at some point, like I look at my own mother, right? Like that was losing my mom, like the recovery community, the moms lost an advocate, right? Because like when I first started doing what I was doing and I was dealing with a mom, like my mom was the person I put them in touch with, right? This is how I dealt with the mom, like that's just that mom. There was nothing my mom did or didn't do, right? That caused me to be an addict. And like I don't feel like that's talked about enough, right? And then we talk about, right, with fentanyl and all this stuff. Like I probably did fentanyl like twice, right? Because like I got clean.
Yeah, me too.
It really wasn't a thing, but like we talk about like we're losing a generation by the wayside, right? To these overdoses and stuff. And like what about the generation that we're leaving behind? Right? There are parents of addicts, grandparents that are becoming parents again.
Yep.
There's like a whole generation of kids that are like losing their parents to this disease of addiction. Like, what are we doing about them? Right? How are we breaking these generational cycles of abuse and addiction, right? On the DV side and on like the addiction side. And like that's really it just, when I see comments sometimes, I'm just individual comments, I just got to point out that, the mom of an addict is really like, it's wild.
I never knew, because me and my husband were in active addiction together. And well, we got sober together. Well, then in 2020, he relapsed. And I had never loved somebody like my husband. I love him. And I felt all the emotions that I feel like my mom and my dad probably felt. I was scared. I wanted to like save him. I was trying to rescue him. I was trying to control him. It was wild, dude. I almost fucking got high over that shit because it was crazy tragic. But I have never experienced any feelings like loving someone who struggles with the disease of addiction. You feel so fucking helpless, man. That's exactly what it's like. Helpless. Absolutely helpless,
Powerless, I'm powerless over my disease of addiction. I'm even more powerless over somebody else's. I can only lead a horse to water. I can't force him to drink. And like I already said, like as many people as I helped try to get into treatment, like the only person I got clean is my fucking self. And I said it before too, the things that I got to do to stay clean on a daily fucking basis with the trauma of sexual abuse, a murdered mom, all the fucking weird shit that like I go through and do when I'm alone. Like, the shit that I do to stay clean would have someone like you hide before you leave the parking lot and vice versa. And that's why, like, I put so much like emphasis on like MAT, and like, I'm not on MAT, right? It's a part of my story, methadone and Suboxone, right? But like, it doesn't work for me, right? Like, instantly I'm shooting it in my fucking neck, right?
Yeah.
But there are people out there that's saving their fucking life. And like I've caught resentments to my own fellowships and to like some of these narrow-minded people that, it's 2022, right? 4 + 4 is 8, 7 plus fucking 1 is 8. It doesn't matter how the fuck we get there as long as we get there at this point.
Right.
And I'm just reading the comments.
You have always been, and I will say that Rob, when I went and shared with the detox that he works for, he was so like genuinely supportive of my recovery with me being on Suboxone. And that's one thing, like I can tell a fake motherfucker, you know what I'm saying, when they're not really happy about my sobriety, or they're looking at me some type of way like, girl, you're on Suboxone, you're not really in recovery. And you've always been like genuinely supportive of my recovery on MAT. And that's huge. We need more people that are recovery advocates, that are working in the field, that are supportive of all pathways to recovery. And I'm even opening my mind and my heart up to things I never thought I would be opening it up to, like plant medicine. I used to be totally closed-minded to plant medicine, and now I'm learning like all these people that are utilizing it, and it's helping them stay sober.
I ain't never woken up in a jail cell because of marijuana.
Exactly.
I mean?
Exactly. Yes.
I can tell you right now, working in a detox, benzodiazepine and alcohol detox are the two most dangerous detoxes that just can't be done when you're at home, right? If my daughter struggles with anxiety, I would rather see her be given a medical marijuana card than a script of benzodiazepine for her anxiety.
Same.
Who am I to judge another person for what works for them? Who am I to shame, guilt, or put down somebody because their pathway to recovery wasn't the same that I took? I had to take the pathway that I had to take in recovery because, like, my drug of choice number one is more, right? And I'll stick a Wellbutrin up my ass if I know it's gonna make me feel good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just the type of addict that I am. And like, there are people out there that like, and I've seen it firsthand, right? Working in some of these detoxes that I have, that like, I'll have the same clients come in every month, first of the month, third of the month, when them checks come in, right?
Yep.
Same patients through the door. I was that kid, right? And like, nothing worked. Further treatment, nothing would work. We'd get them a Suboxone, we break them off with a Suboxone referral or methadone referral. 3 months later, they're not in the detox. I'm grabbing a coffee somewhere out there. I pull over my car. I hop out the car to go in, and there's that kid slinging coffees. His quality of life fucking increased. That's the whole point of this. I paid a high price for a shitty quality of fucking life for years and years and years. Like, I want everybody to increase their quality of life. And whatever they got to do that, they got to do it. It's just, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
I feel like I don't know how you were, but I feel like we've come a long way. I feel like a lot of us were like indoctrinated into, certain way of recovery. And at least for me, I was, really, really brought up that abstinence was the only way. And even though I was on, even that's what took me so long to get on subs, because I was so against it. I was like, no, man, that's the only way to get sober is abstinence. And so I probably could have died, man, if I should have just got on subs many, many years ago. But that wasn't my story, but I finally did, and it saved my life. So I feel like we've come a long way in our little community. I feel like a lot of people are opening their hearts and minds up to more pathways to recovery. And it's important that we do that. We speak out about this, because there's so many people who are like watching and sitting in shame, feeling like they don't fit in, feeling like they don't have a place to be, feeling like they don't have meetings to go to. And there's like bomb ass meetings, y'all. Like Mara is a bomb ass, very accepting meeting of all pathways to recovery. Yeah, it's getting your life back. Recovery is getting your life back. And then Jen says, they say that, but I was prescribed lower tabs for an abortion and did not abuse them at all. That's awesome, Jen. I'm proud of you. But
I had a vasectomy. I wouldn't even take the fucking pain pills because I know I get all strung out. I can't do it. Some people can. Who am I? You know what I mean?
Right. I think if you get prescribed pain pills, y'all, just if you can, have a plan, have somebody that will work with you to keep you safe. And, if you can take them responsibly, then take them responsibly. That's another thing. Like, I used to be so against that. I would be like, no, absolutely not. But now it's like, whatever works for you, man, whatever works for you to keep you alive.
Here's the hit. It's out of my fucking business.
Right. But everybody thinks it's we think, I know a lot of people think that, like, because we share our stories online, that our is their business because we share online. You know what I mean?
It ain't none of my business. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any, like, whatever works for you, do it.
Yeah.
Don't get hot. You know what I mean? Like, I've watched too many people die. You know what I mean? I don't have advice to give anybody, right? When I start giving advice, I'm going about this all wrong. The only thing I can share is my experience. That's really all I have, right? And if I don't have experience on the matter, I'm not gonna fucking talk about it. I'm not gonna. It's none of my business. I don't have the experience. I don't know what it's like to lose my mom to old age. I know what it's like to have your mother's head caved in. Like, then I can speak about it, right? But I don't know what the feelings that come along with other things. Like, if I don't I don't have the experience, I can't talk about it. You know what I mean? And there's a big difference between what I do for work and my own fucking recovery. Like, you know what I mean? There's a huge difference. So it is what it kind of is.
I want to read some of these comments to you from over here, and then I'll let you jump off here. I want to read, Missy says, his strength amazes me. He has made a purpose in life through his trials and tribulations. Chastity says, I appreciate him for opening up. It was really great to hear his story. He is truly a blessing and something special for sure. I just wanted to read those comments to you because they were I thought that was awesome. And like I said, you don't care if I put this on my YouTube channel, do you?
I don't give a fuck.
Okay. I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story and just being real.
Yeah, it's really cool to see you. Like, it's fucking wild how, you know what I mean? Like, it just blows my mind that there you are, last year through a pandemic, you're sharing to the clients of my partial hospitalization program. And then all of a sudden there you are on TikTok and we get to do this again. It's super cool in my opinion. Like, now I'm just grateful for the connections. Like I said, same thing. You cast a wider network of people in all sorts of different regions and parts of the country that are kind of there. And, it's one of those things where it's like, I just know that, like, when I forget the lack of effort it took to get a day of freedom in, like, my life, lack of gratitude sets in and I fucking self-destruct. Yeah. So, like, I try my best to be grateful for everything that I have today. And like I talked about, being on that floor in that detox in room 8, praying for all the things that I have today, it's like clearing my mind that I'm one bad decision away from losing them all too. And it's easy, man. As we get some time under our belts, right? As we get a little bit of clean time, like, we forget, Like we forget what it's like to call that detox 50
Yep.
times and then be told this. Like I forget what it's like to, you know what I mean, be homeless on the streets, starving, trying to eat a fucking McChicken for $1. They're like $3.19 now, dude.
I
Shit's
know,
crazy.
dude. It's wild.
Shit's crazy. Like when I was getting gas was $2.30, $5 a gallon right now. Motherfuckers need to get in treatment and save some money. That's what I'm gonna say, right? And like I don't forget where I come from, or at least I try to keep those last day using at the forefront of my mind, because like when I forget, I'm destined to go back. And like I remember the struggles in my first year, right? Trying to remain grateful for the things I have. It's really easy when we start to get things back in fucking recovery,
Yeah.
especially some of the dumb materialistic shit. I got all kinds of cool shit in my life, right? And like I talked about, but it's that self-worth, it's that self-esteem. It's like, that lack of selfishness, the humility piece, right, is huge. And I guess that's really what I'm touching on, is the humility piece. And like to like that gratitude, man, like it's huge. It really and honestly truly is. And like losing Kaylee, she's in the chat and she's talking, and like that's why I brought up the mother of an addict. Like it's wicked weird, right? She posted on a video that I had met her years ago at an event or something like that, and she had told me that her daughter had passed, and like I had to go back in my messages to see, when I had spoken to her daughter, and it was back in 2018, and her daughter was the sweetest thing, just expressing her condolences and checking in on me after my mother was murdered. And that was really the only communication that we had. And it's just wild how this TikTok thing, my heart breaks. You know what I mean? My heart breaks for her and her family. And, it's just wild that like things come into play and set on time right at the right time, right? And like I'm really big on the mom of an addict because of the stories and the perseverance, like the issues that my mother had to go through with me. And like I want to be like, if we want to see the change in the world, like we have to be that change. And like, what is to be that change? Like, we have to lead by example. That's why I speak up as a man against domestic violence, right? That's why I raised my daughter, to have self-worth, to have, self-esteem, and to be empowered and to inspire her, right? And that's why, like our sons, we need to raise them to be better and respect females and women, and like we need to educate our kids about our fucking disease.
Yep.
So many parents think that I'm fucking nuts because I'll have a full-on conversation. Daddy's a drug addict.
Me
That's
too.
fine.
My son's 7.
Fine. Because like I can't do it. Like I can't imagine my daughter going through the struggles that I had to go through. And at least at the end of the day, again, my experience, not my advice, is what I'm going to share with my own kids. And that's why I tend to stick to my experience rather than advice when it goes to some of these things. So super cool that you're on here, though.
My
Super
little
cool.
boy, listen to me. I do the same thing with my son, and people used to bust my balls about it because I shared with my son openly about him being taken away from me, about me going to prison. And my son is the most compassionate, sweet, giving little kid that he'll get a new toy and he'll say, Mom, I let so and so take my toy home because, they didn't have, and that's because of me. He comes in here, he does the recovery. He's in here with me whenever I'm doing my recovery groups. He's sitting there listening to people's stories. I mean, he's with me all the time. And so he's learning about this like with us, and he's getting to see me like help people and stay on the phone with people. And it's just, man, he's the sweetest little boy. And I'm just so grateful that I didn't listen to nobody that was trying to give me shit about talking to him about addiction, because like I really feel like educating him early on is going to help him in the long run, because these kids are showing up to school with drugs at 8, 9, 10 years old now in their backpacks and shit. All it takes is one pill of fentanyl. It scares me so bad. It scares me.
It's crazy. It really honestly is crazy. I mean, like, it's that prevention piece, right? It's the same thing with the safe sex and all this. It's part of the culture now. It's everywhere. There's a fucking opiate epidemic. You know what I mean? Like, we're fighting a pandemic within a pandemic, right? I mean, I know when COVID hit, DV went up, substance use went up, alcoholism went up. There was a lot of shit going on behind closed doors. Like, this is a family fucking disease. It really and honestly true. And like, I want to give like the thing that I ran around with when I was a kid, smoking crack and doing as a kid, doing all this weird shit, right? The kids shouldn't be doing was because I had no information or knowledge on what it was or what was happening. And I believe that again, like with anything, like even shit, like it, you know what I mean? We gotta start when they're young and go when they're young with it and shit,
Absolutely.
So I don't know. It's that gratitude. I'm extremely grateful. You know what I mean? Like there's some cool shit that comes along the way. Like told me, like I ran around for 7 years without a license or a car and license revoked. And listen, I got my license back. I drive a fucking badass vehicle. Like my life is good on that side of things. But like at the end of the day, like take it. Like it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like there's a fine line. But sometimes like in recovery, we get things back too quick, right? Like not too quick, but we get things back and we don't know how to do it. One being our feelings, two being the materialistic things, but like it really does. Like if I don't stay grateful for the things that I have, they won't last. And the first thing I put in front of my recovery is the second thing I'm going to lose. That goes females, the kids, anything and everything, the work, the job, everything, right? So like I have to keep that like a buck. Like I'm trying to get better, right? Like so far, what I've been doing, it's been successful. And I'm going to keep doing what I have to do. And, I'm going to keep evolving and I'm going to keep, bobbing and weaving because life throws those things. Life shows up, life on life's terms, right? They say that like, I remember they used to tell me life's going to get better when you get fucking clean. And I don't agree with that. I really and honestly don't. I don't feel like life gets better. I feel like we get better at life.
We can handle it.
That's really what it is. Like same bad shit is going to happen to me whether I'm fucking strung out with a needle in my neck under a bridge or whether I'm a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar organization. It's all about how I handle the shit that's thrown at me. And I think I've gotten a little bit better at life, considering the fact that I've gone through some of this trauma with my mother and I haven't gotten high. And, I speak up and talk about it. And that's kind of where it's at,
Absolutely. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you came on and shared, like, honestly, like, thank you so much. Like I really, really appreciate it. You have no idea. Like your story is so strong.
I had to return the favor. You showed up for me in the middle of a pandemic for my clients.
Yeah.
You asked me to. Yeah, fuck yeah, like absolutely. You know what I mean? It's been cool. You know what I mean? Every time I get a chance to speak, no matter how all over the place I am, trying to read the text messages and emails that are coming through. Hope it all made sense. And
no, you did phenomenal, Rob. Like a phenomenal job. You are like phenomenal. Like I wouldn't tell you if you didn't do good if you didn't. You did amazing and you stayed on task. You stayed on course. You shared like the important parts. And now what I love about you is that you're sharing so much about what you're doing to stay sober and like how your life has changed in the positive,
Yeah, that's the hit. I mean, I don't I learned early on in this process that if you want to be successful, be around successful people. I learned that at the beginning, right? And I also learned that like I wasn't born with the knowledge of how to draw up heroin, how to find a fucking vein, and how to push that plunger into my vein.
Yeah, you got to learn.
Didn't have the knowledge when I got clean on how to stay clean. I had to find people, just like I found people to find my vein for me. I found people to teach me how to stay clean. And then one of the biggest things that I've learned is that like this recovery community is a bunch of sick people trying to get better.
Yeah.
So like I'm very choosy of anybody trying to give me advice I don't listen to. Anybody giving me fucking their experience I will listen to. I learned that all these suggestions in this process in this journey are all free, and the one suggestion I don't take is the suggestion that I'm going to pay for. And I've taken everything really literally into the heart, and I've really just trying to find my own way and just, you know what I mean? What's good for me might not be good for somebody else. You know what I mean? I know what I need to do to, thrive in life and be successful. And, I've got some experience to share, and, it might help somebody else who's struggling and suffering. And I'm going to do that any chance that I get. I mean, even if it's with my content that I put out there, it might be too much for some people. It might not be, right? Like, that's not my business. There's a lot of things that aren't my business. I keep my fucking nose out of it.
You know what I mean? I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I like that. I need to start adopting the idea that, you know what? It's not my business. It's not my business, Nicole. A lot of times I get like, I want to worry about things, right? Maybe I'm a little nosy sometimes, but it's not my business. I'm going to literally start learning to say that. It's not my business.
Oh, no, I'm nosy as fuck. I just know how to be nosy over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the skill I've learned and I've adapted to. But one of the things too, like people are gonna not people sick people. How do I put it in the words that are right? Like people that are struggling envy the people who aren't. And I've come across it a lot on my journey. Rob's high, Rob's this. Maybe I am. Who cares? So what? You know what I mean? It's
Right.
not so what, but it's just for me. It doesn't. You get to a point where it's like I listen. Like whether we're in a fucking street, whether we're in a treatment center, we're in a jail cell. I'm laying my head down alone. Right. That's all I got. That's what I'm gonna do tonight. So other people's opinions in this recovery community and what I'm doing, what I'm not doing. It's like I can say anything on camera. That's fine. But like, let me show you how I'm living. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, he's how I'm living knows I'm not getting high. Right? Because if I was getting high, dude, I'd be on here like until I sold my iPhone, I'd be asking everybody for a fucking cash app.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Exactly. It's
That's
so
what I'd be.
for me, I know you notice it because you see me. Like I'm still learning to let that kind of shit just roll off my back. You know what I mean?
I
I don't
know.
know. It's hard for me. It's hard. I guess maybe it's because I'm a little sensitive, but man, sometimes
It's
I
'cause
just
I
let it
got
get to me. Huh?
I'm a wicked. I'm a wicked sensitive kid. I got mommy issues. I haven't even talked about the red flags I got trying to date. We ain't even gonna get into that. I put content out about that shit. But listen, like the better we do, the more people are gonna hate the issues. And I learned a long time ago, right? My circle of people that I recover with, I keep close to me, right? Like if I'm operating up here and they're operating down here, I can't bring myself down here. They have to rise up and meet me up here. If they're not going to rise up and meet me up here, then I can't fuck with them on that level. You know what I mean? But I can never bring myself down to like move forward in life, especially with the people that are around me. And I start to see really, really fast and easy, you know, who's got their best intentions that are around me because they do rise up. They do meet
Yeah.
me on the level that on the vibration that I'm rocking with, right? And like when you do that and you have these people in your life that, you know, are rocking on your level, all the rest of this shit's just noise, right? I don't give a fuck what, you know what I mean? Even out here in Massachusetts, you know what I mean? Especially with what I do for a living. A lot of people, not everybody, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, right?
Yeah.
I'm not. I have no filter. I'm covered in ink, and like I say what I mean and mean what I say. Like you know what I mean? Like we're not gonna. I didn't get clean to make fucking friends. Ironically enough, right? I got clean to save my life, and if that means walking away from people because they can't meet me where I'm at, I'm sorry. Like I've worked too hard to put anything that I have in risk or in jeopardy, especially in a community of other sick people,
Yeah.
right? Like that's what it is, right? And it bothers me sometimes when people offer this advice that, and I hear it all the time, especially as I'm watching videos and stuff from like a professional side of point of view. It's like some of the advice can kill people. Misinformation does lead to death, right? And it's just like I try not to insert my opinion in those where it doesn't belong. I walked past things. There's another one that just came in sober. That's my homie.
I needed to hear that, what you just said about like people rising to you up to you and you not going down to them. Because I feel like I'm just constantly trying to like, you know what I'm saying? If you want to be around me, you have to come up to where I'm at because I can't be ducking down to try and save people or just I needed to hear that. Like I don't think you understand. I don't know why I'm getting emotional about it, but I just really needed to hear that.
Make it uncomfortable, bro.
Sorry.
Don't cry. Cry your eyes.
Damn.
Awkward.
Anyway, I just love you, man. For real. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me.
Thank you for showing my clients through a pandemic. That shit was dope, and it's cool to be able to return the favor. And listen, it's I'm meeting addicts where they're at any day of the week. But like when it comes to that circle of people that are in my life that are rocking with me on that level, like meet me they gotta meet me where I'm at. You know what I mean? And once I adapted that mentality, all this, all the shit talking that comes along with a recovery community. He's doing this, she's doing that, all this, that. It's really show me how you're living, right? Show me
Yeah,
how you're
none of
getting
that
up.
fucking matters. None of it.
Show me that your bills are paid, right? Show me that like you know what? It's one thing. Like my recovery is when I put that child support check in the mail and I fucking mail it.
Yep.
That's my recovery. My recovery isn't what goes on TikTok. I'm running around like an asshole, fucking talking about sticking a needle in my neck and red flags because I'm a broken, battered individual. Like that. This is just wreck. You know what I mean? Like it's just wreck. It is what it is. But like, you know, you get those people around you, they build you up. Like that's why it's so important. We build ourselves up. That, you know, positive affirmation shit, that's huge, right? I know for me, I have a disease that lives between my ears, talks to me in my own voice. Like, you leave me alone with myself, you leave me with the last person who tried to fucking kill me. And the way I talk to myself is insane. So like I need that positivity of the people that are meeting me up here that are doing the same things I'm doing. Want to be successful, be around successful people. And I feel a lot of times that's why a lot of people gravitate towards me. And when they do that, they do rise up, right?
Yeah.
They don't operate. You know what I mean? But when I find myself, and it happens to me, I fall victim to my own bullshit, right? Like I'll meet a female, right? Because we all manifestation. You know what I mean? It's crazy, right? And I'll drop down here and I'll stop sticking to my core values and my moral compass. And that's when I find myself in trouble. And that's when I find myself, you know what I mean, starting to care a little bit more about what other people's, you know, outside perception of me is. And like at the end of the day, sometimes I'm just a dressed up trash barrel. You know what I mean? Like the outside looks good, but I'm fucked up and I got a murdered mom, dude. Like, I stuck a needle in my neck. I was molested as I'm a fucked up dude doing work on himself. And it takes a long time for us to be okay, like, with who we are,
Yeah.
for us to, like, not care about what else is going on around us. At least that's my experience on some of this stuff. And, like, it's like, I mean, the halls of, you know, fellowship meetings are just as brutal. You know what I mean? I can't imagine when you add fucking 100 million people with, you know, outside on their phones on a platform like this.
It can get
Sober
fucking
Bob.
tough. It can get tough.
Sober Bob all the time. That's my home. Like my one of my TikTok coaches and shit. You know
Sober
what I
Barbie,
mean?
yeah,
Like
she's a good girl.
that's my
She's had
homie,
my
dude.
back hardcore. I love her to death.
We go back a while, you know, and like that's another thing. Like I've watched her go to jail, right? I've watched her go into treatment, and like to see everything she's doing. I went out and she gave me a tour of her sober house that she manages and runs. Gave me a tour of her fucking treatment center. Her boss is a friend of mine. Like it's just like it comes back tenfold. That's another one of them stories that I was talking about before. That like it blows my mind. It's like wow, dude. And you get to connect through TikTok and shit. And but at the same time, like, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Sober Barbie, I know you're over there, but I'm so proud of you, and I'm watching your story with your little girl, and I'm cheering you on, man, because I know how it feels to be in that situation, fighting for your kid. I'm proud of you, and I love you.
I'm
Okay, I'm
proud of you
kicking
too.
you off my live, Rob.
Cool.
I love you, man. Thank you so much for coming on with me.
Thank you. Keep doing your thing, and you know what I mean? Just keep that tunnel vision. Worry about you, and that's it.
I'm gonna text you later. My little boy wants me, so I'll holler at you later.
Good excuse to go. Take care.
No!
I love you guys. I gotta go get Nate's over here waving to me and telling me to come get the dog out. Listen to me, man. If you guys need support or you're struggling, like I got a little emotional there, sometimes, you know, God, I'm so emotional today. Sometimes you have to hear somebody else say it. You know, sometimes you have to hear somebody say, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. You know, it matters how you're living your life. What matters is that my son is healthy and well taken care of. What matters is that I'm paying my house payment. What matters is my car's almost paid off. What matters is my husband loves me. What matters is my parents are proud of me. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you just need to hear somebody else say that. And so thank you, Rob, so much. I am kind of a weird person. I will make it weird and I will cry. So anyways, I love you guys. I hope that him sharing inspired you, because I know that it inspired me. It's difficult doing online stuff. And so it's not very often that when somebody shares their story that it like really touches me or resonates with me. And that last little bit of us sitting here and talking really, really helped me out a lot. So anyways, I love you guys. If you didn't get to see the whole live, I'm going to upload it on my YouTube channel, and I got to go because Nathaniel's about to drive me insane. I love you guys.